Hey, what is going on, guys? Greg Jenkins here from Monkeypod Marketing, and this video is about action planning and how this process, how this framework can help you turn more ideas into actual launched solutions, right? So if you're a small business owner, if you're an entrepreneur or a marketer in general, I'm sure that you have had plenty of good ideas that for some reason or another never made it into the actual, implemented stage, right? Somewhere along the pathway from ideation to implementation, they lost their momentum and they were either shelved or deprioritized, or they just kind of fizzled, right? And I think there's plenty of reasons for why that happens. But what I have learned is that there are some steps you can take. There is a framework you can follow that helps make it more likely that your good ideas are implemented and done so in a way that reflects your vision and that serves your business and ultimately your audience. So the reason for this video is, number one, because I think this will serve everyone. But number two, I am going to be steering Monkeypod Retreat registrants to this as a resource, because if you're coming to the Monkeypod Retreat, this is a really important concept that I think will really help maximize the way you use your time at that retreat. Now, even if you are not planning to attend or have not yet, applied or registered, I still think this will be really valuable, so feel free to play along. All right, without further ado, I'm gonna hand things over to my good friend Justin McDonald to share the action planning framework and why it is so powerful and how it can work for your business.
Okay, so the first thing I want to share with you and make sure you understand is everything I'm about to show you is about organization and execution so that you ultimately get things done and that nothing slows down you getting to the business benefits you're reaching for with your sales and marketing efforts, right? And coordinating all of the very many steps and details to make something happen, to make really great experiences for your prospects, leads, and customers, and coordinating all the people or resources or tools that are involved to do that is complex when you've got other things that you, of course, need to be focusing on. So you need to be able to quickly, repeatably, scalably, and effectively execute these things so that you can get them launched, have them start serving your business so you can move and focus on other things, right? So what I'm sharing works whether you are a solopreneur, whether you're the only person that's doing these things, or whether you've got an extremely large team, which is the beauty of the method that I'm going to show you because it does scale. As a matter of fact, it is the way you grow from a small team and a smaller business to something that's larger. It's all about scalability and effectiveness, and it works no matter what. So that's something I really want you to understand. This idea, and I presented at Icon last year on this concept. In my time at Infusionsoft, one of the recent things I was working on before I left and started working at ALU was this concept of the small business success method, and a methodology that fits no matter what your industry, no matter what your team size, no matter what your business type. And I was part of a team of developing that. And one of the key elements of that was planning how to execute your different tactics in order to accomplish your strategic objectives. And this is what we came up with, and something that we use at ALU every single day to execute the things that we need to drive revenue for these various product lines. And this planning framework, what I call the blueprint, is basically built like this structurally. So if you're a visual person, if you're a logical person, I hope this makes sense. But at the top level, you have your strategy, what you're trying to accomplish. And there's different sections of that strategy. But ultimately, it's, capturing leads, nurturing those leads, offering those leads up, delivering on those to new customers, creating incredible, wow experiences for customers, and then multiplying those customers by upselling, cross-selling, and creating advocates who generate more referrals and more traffic and so forth. And so you get this cycle of this self-feeding, growing business by creating awesome experiences. And so that's your strategy, and there's different parts of those strategies. And you execute that strategy by employing different tactics, right? Different ways you're going to capture leads, different ways you're going to nurture, different offers you're going to make, different ways to create amazing experiences, different ways to leverage, referrals and upsells and those sort of things. So there's different ways you go about. So tactics is very much the how. And you chain tactics together to create your strategy. And then ultimately, inside of every tactic is a chain of assets. Assets are things that have to get created. And just like in the real world, an asset is something that has value and is something you invest in that gives you a greater return on your investment. So Those are often also things that exist for in your customer's journey, in your lead's journey. So it's usually things, and in the digital world, it's really easy to understand. It's things like emails, things like landing pages, web pages, blog posts, Facebook ads, other types of advertisements, so forth, right? A digital brochure, a video, those sorts of things, okay? And we chain those assets together, right? Which creates a journey for executing the tactic that rolls up into the strategy. Now, every asset, let's just think of a landing page. Every asset you have now has content in and on it. It's copy, it's images, it's things like a video, it's fields, it's buttons, right? It's all of those types of things, links and so forth, okay? That's content. And the idea behind all this is you're starting to hopefully assimilate this and understand this in your own business, is that this stuff happens whether you acknowledge it or not, whether you like it or not. These are the things that are required to create effective tactics that drive the results that you want. So whether you acknowledge it or not, whether you knew about it or not, whether you thought about it or not, these are the things that you have to have. Somebody's got to write that copy. Somebody's got to find that image. Somebody's got to crop that image. Someone's got to record that video, cut that video, host that video, and so forth. So this allows us to see and plan all of them so nothing sneaks up on us. We can organize the work appropriately. We can scope the work appropriately based on knowing how much it's going to cost us to invest. Now, that content, once you know your content, once you know your assets, then and only then do you know which tools do you need to use to execute and build those assets and those content, right? Everything from marketing automation to the word processor you're going to use. I don't think anybody ever calls it a word processor anymore, right? Are you going to use Word? Are you going to use Google Docs? Are you going to use something else? What hardware you're going to use if you're filming a video, so on and so forth, right? So then you know the tools. Once you know the tools, right? And there's lots of options of tools. And that's the only time you start getting into tools. Is okay, how do I want to execute that? Many people, I should say, they put tools first. I've got this system. How do I use it? Instead of what I want to try to do, what system supports that? Once you know your tool, then you can identify the skills required in order to execute, use the tool, execute the content, and build the asset, right? And there's technical skills usually to use the tools, and then there's creative skills, things like the photography, the editing, the copywriting, so on and so forth. And so there's both of those skills. And then finally, there's one more sort of invisible layer at the bottom of this, which is who has those skills? How many of those skills do you have? How many of those skills are already in your team? And if not, which gaps do you need to fill by either hiring someone, contracting freelancers, or so forth, right? So it gets really clear on what needs to happen, what's going to go inside of that, which tools you need to use, who has the skills to use those tools and create that, and ultimately then creating ownership of who you need to get, what you own, what the team owns, getting really clear on what the project is going to be so that you can go execute that. So there's a quick rundown of what this planning framework looks like, and it only works every single time. So let me give you a brief example. Here's a canvas that we use. We use a really simple tool called draw.io. It's a free tool. You can use any sort of mapping technology or whatever you want. This is basically how to get a whiteboard onto a digital surface, right? So ultimately you have your strategy where we're inputting our strategic focus there. And let's just keep it really simple. I want to capture new leads. Okay, that's it, right? Everybody wants to do that. And let's do something also, very simple too. And I'm going to do that through a Facebook ad campaign. Right? Great. So now I get into what's the assets required to do that. Okay. So and this is where you're chaining assets together. Ultimately, you're thinking, what's the first step in this tactic? What's the first thing usually that your customer, your prospect is going to see? So the first thing, of course, in this case, a Facebook ad campaign, they're going to see the ad. So I'll leave it real simple that we need a Facebook ad. Now I click over, what's the next thing that they will see? Well, once they click that, they're going to go to some sort of landing page. Okay, great. We'll keep it simple and high level again. After they convert through the landing page, what happens next? What asset needs to get created? And you're going to have some sort of thank you page, right? I call it next action page because just thanking them does nothing. I want actually some sort of action, and always end with action. So you're driving your prospects, leading them to the next piece of value or next step that you want them to take in the journey you've designed for them. Then what, right? You've got a next action page. Well, maybe now we want to, of course, follow up with an email. So let's say this is a brand new lead and we're going to follow up first with our welcome email. And then maybe after they get a welcome email, we're going to give a piece of content, right? And you would actually be more specific with this. So we've got our content email 1. And then maybe after that, they're going to get an email from a sales rep that's been assigned to them. You know what? I would change that. Let's say the sales rep intro. and then content email 1 comes. So the sales rep introduces him or herself, says, hey, I'm your go-to person. Here's a link to our FAQs. Let me send you some cool relevant stuff later. And then they get content email 1, and then maybe they get content email 2. You get the idea. I wouldn't go much larger than the width of this screen, or you end up, what happens is you're actually chaining tactics together. So that's it. I need each of those things to be built. All of those are a thing. They exist. It's a moment in your customer's journey. So let's get clear now on, Facebook ads don't magically make themselves, landing pages don't magically make themselves, and each of these are valuable pieces of real estate to your customers and to your business. So we better execute them well, which is why the scope of the entire tactic needs to be as simple as possible and only as complex as necessary. So what I do is I come down and I think, well, what content do I need on the ad? Let's just make one ad, not a whole set for now. Let's keep it simple. I need the image. I need the call to action. I need the headline, right? And ultimately, I need the text, right? The body copy. Okay, great. We're going to stay in this column, and we're going to complete this. We're going to complete this column all the way down, and we're going to stay on this Facebook ad. So now I've got content. Now let's get down to what tools do I need. So what tools do I need in order to execute the content and the asset above? Well, I need Ads Manager, Facebook Ads Manager. Let's zoom this in a little bit for you so you guys can see easier. What else do I need? Well, I need to design the graphics. So I can hire that, of course. I can use Adobe Photoshop, but you put what you actually have. I like to use Canva. It's a really simple tool that anybody can use. We build templates so people on our team who are doing some of their own marketing stuff use our templates we've already created. We know they're on brand. We know that they're optimized. They can just go plug in their own stuff. So we, again, are enabling autonomy for scale. Okay, so we're going to use Canva. Is there anything else that we need? Not really. We'll keep it at that. You don't want to overthink this necessarily. You do want to have enough detail to be relevant. What skills do we need? Somebody needs to know Facebook Ads Manager and obviously how to build those ad campaigns and so forth. So I need that skill. I need design skill. And that's why you use tools like Canva. If you don't have them, they sort of bring the skill to you. You drop in the content that you already have. Okay. And then ultimately we get down to that final piece of owner, right? So for us, Matt is going to be our ads manager. Okay, we're going to have Edam be our copy person. She's our lead acquisition person, and then we're going to have Ofo be our design. Okay, so she's going to make that. So right away, one asset, 3 different people involved. We're going to have an optimized asset. Now, for owner, could that be you in all 3 of these? Absolutely. Okay, you get the idea. We do the same thing here on landing page. I'm going to bring that down. And what is the content on the landing page? It's obviously the copy. It is going to be images. You can be specific. You obviously have to think. There's 5 different images on this landing page template I'm using. Which one? What's the banner hero image? What's the small insert image? And so forth. Okay. So we've got copy. We've got images. We've got which fields do you want in the actual opt-in form? Usually if you're using a builder, it comes with the buttons and stuff. So you don't think about that as content. But what's the button and what is the call to action? Are there any links that you're hyperlinking out to, and so forth? Okay, is there a video that you're putting in there? Those are the things that you have to think about. All that goes in and on the page. When we come down to tools, we think of what landing page builder do I want to use. I like lead pages. You can obviously use whatever. So let's say we're using lead pages. We also need to use Canva. We use Google Docs a lot, so we can share and edit and collaborate on those things. So we're going to use Google Docs. Let's say we're going to have, we're going to use Wistia to host that video if there is a video on it. So you get the idea. You're thinking through everything that is required in order to execute this. And then we come down, we think of skills. So I need someone who knows lead pages back end, someone that actually understands that. I need someone who knows, and you'll see in a minute, we're going to use Infusionsoft as our CRM and marketing automation engine. So I need somebody who knows Infusionsoft back end, basically, the campaign builder. And then I need somebody who can write copy. I need somebody who can do graphic, right? And I need somebody who can shoot and edit video if I don't already have that asset done. Also something to think about when you're building those things is that video essential to conversion, or is it just enhancing? If you get stuck on a video that's going to take you 2 weeks to do, and you're not going to launch because you're trying to get your editor to shoot that, or you're trying to get the coordination of the shoot to actually happen, then don't do it, right? You don't need that video there if it's going to prevent you from launching. If it's enhancing, if it's essential, then make it as lean as possible. Think minimum viable product to ship and get out the door so you can start generating, in this case, leads that you want. All right, and then finally, who's the owner? All right, so I'm going to have Tamir is going to be our lead pages specialist who's going to build that. We're going to have Greg do the Infusionsoft backend. We're going to have Edom do copy. We're going to have Scylla do layout. And finally, we're going to have Ofo do graphic. Okay, so that is all the pieces of our team that we're actually going to use that for. Okay, so you get the idea of where this is going right now. I'm going to pause this. Okay, and quick fast forward, and we have a completely done blueprint. So, the important thing here is everything has been considered. Maybe things that you didn't even think about you needed, like, oh yeah, I want to link to this piece of content. Do I already have that piece of content? Or I've got this idea for a video. Do we need to now create that video? And so it helps you understand everything and sort of leave no stone unturned. For me, the most important part that you finally get to is identifying what tools and skills do we need. And a lot of times the tool is what dictates the skill. And you identify who's got the talent, right? Who has those skills. And so identify the people that are involved. And sometimes that's a lot of you. And other times you're reaching out to team members, and other times you're reaching out to freelance services. Upwork is a great one. And so at the end of the day, what you do is you now can manage a project. So we take this, we put that right into our project management system, and we keep track of who's doing what the sprint is, and when it's going to get done. Whether you think in sprints and project management, or whether it's just all floating around in here, this stuff has to get done whether you like it or not. And so this allows you to see clearly what needs to get done, and if it hasn't, who's responsible. Again, if you're a solopreneur, that sometimes is you. And so this helps keep you accountable, as well as scope something for a game that you can win. If the tactic is, this big, I'm off the screen now. If it's too big, you're not going to win the game. So think about small executable tactics, minimum viable products that can actually get you results, and then chaining those tactics together. All right.
Okay, guys. So I hope that was valuable for you. This action planning framework is, it might seem simple, but it is the product of hundreds of projects that we have seen implemented, some successfully and some not so successfully, because when you force yourself to approach your idea with this sort of a framework, it reveals blind spots, it reveals assumptions, and it forces you to think through some of the more granular details that can really derail a project if you overlook them. So I want to encourage you to get in the habit of trying this framework for your ideas, for your projects. Even if you are a solopreneur, what I expect you will find is that it sets you up to scale. It sets you up to prevent the scope creep that comes with when you overlook things. It also sets you up to have better alignment and expectations if you are contracting out various parts of the projects to either third-party or internal team members. But in any case, we have seen this work time and time again. If you are coming to an upcoming Monkeypod Retreat, then this framework is something that we will absolutely use and that I want you to be familiar with. But even if you are not yet registered for a retreat, or if you have no plans of registering for one, I think this will serve you and your business long term. Now, with that being said, if you do want to apply for a future retreat, just check out monkeypodmarketing.com/retreat. Other than that, enjoy the action planning framework. Please feel free to like or share this video, and leave any comments or questions you may have below. Later.